Have you ever wondered what it takes to stand firm in your beliefs, even when it costs you everything? Today, we're diving into the extraordinary life of a man who did just that. His name was Watchman Nee, and his story is a powerful testament to faith, resilience, and unwavering purpose, even from behind prison walls. This isn't just a history lesson. It's a story of courage that will challenge and inspire you. Watchman Nee was born Nee Shutsu in 1903 in Shantou, China. From a young age he was brilliant. He consistently ranked first in his class, showing a sharp mind and a promising future. But his path took a dramatic turn when he was just 17 years old. He attended a revival meeting led by the evangelist Dora Yu. That night, something profound happened. He felt a deep, personal call to dedicate his life to God. This wasn't just a fleeting emotional moment. It was a life-altering decision that set him on a course he would follow until his very last breath. He chose the English name Watchman and the Chinese name Tu Sheng, which means ringing of a watchman's bell, symbolizing his new mission, to be a spiritual sentinel for his people, to awaken them. He immediately threw himself into studying the Bible, devouring every Christian book he could find. He had an insatiable hunger for spiritual truth and spent his meager funds on books, sometimes skipping meals to afford them. He learned from various Christian traditions but refused to be confined by any single denomination. He believed in the unity of all believers in Christ, a principle that would become central to his ministry. In the 1920s, Watchman Nee began to preach and write. His message was clear and powerful, focusing on the centrality of Christ and the importance of a deep, personal relationship with God. He wasn't just repeating old doctrines. He was sharing fresh insights from his own intense study and experience. People were drawn to his clarity and passion. Small groups began to form, first in his hometown of Fuzhou, and then they spread like wildfire across China. These gatherings were unique. They weren't formal churches with ornate buildings and rigid hierarchies. They were simple meetings in homes, known as the local church or the little flock. The focus was on fellowship, Bible study, and the priesthood of all believers, the idea that every Christian has a direct relationship with God and a role to play in the church. This grassroots movement resonated deeply with many Chinese people who were looking for a faith that was authentic and personal. By the 1930s and 40s, this movement had grown into a significant spiritual force in China. With hundreds of local assemblies established throughout the country, Watchman Nee was a prolific writer. He authored numerous books, articles, and hymns that have since been translated into many languages. His most famous work, The Normal Christian Life, based on the Book of Romans, has become a spiritual classic around the world. In it, he unpacks the profound truth of a Christian's identification with Christ in his death and resurrection. He taught that the Christian life isn't about trying harder to be good. It's about recognizing that Christ lives in you and allowing his life to be expressed through you. This message of grace and victory brought hope and freedom to countless people. But Watchman Nee's journey was far from easy. The political climate in China was becoming increasingly turbulent. In 1949, the Communist Party came to power, and everything changed. The new government was officially atheist and viewed organized religion, especially Christianity with its foreign ties, as a threat. Churches were shut down, and Christian leaders faced intense pressure to conform to the state's ideology. Watchman Nee had opportunities to leave China, to escape the coming storm. Friends and co-workers abroad urged him to seek safety, but he refused. He felt a deep responsibility to the flock he had nurtured for decades. In a letter he wrote, "Should a shepherd desert his flock when the wolf comes? For the sake of the Lord's work, I must stand with them." He made a conscious, deliberate choice to stay, knowing full well the danger he was putting himself in. The inevitable happened in 1952. Watchman Nee was arrested in Shanghai on a slew of fabricated charges, including espionage and financial corruption. It was a clear attempt to silence a powerful and influential voice. He was subjected to a public show trial, a humiliating spectacle designed to discredit him and intimidate his followers. Despite the immense pressure, he remained composed. In 1956, he was sentenced to 15 years in prison. He would never be a free man again. For the next 2 decades, Watchman Nee was confined to a prison cell. He was cut off from his family, his friends, and the churches he had poured his life into. The conditions were harsh, designed to break the human spirit. He was subjected to forced labor and constant re-education sessions. His health deteriorated under the strain, yet, even in the darkest of places, his light could not be extinguished. We don't have many details about his time in prison, as communication was severely restricted, but the little we know comes from fragments of letters and testimonies of those who encountered him. He was not allowed to have a Bible, but the scriptures were etched in his heart and mind. He spent his days in prayer and communion with God. His faith didn't just survive in prison. In many ways it was refined and deepened. He learned to find his purpose, not in public ministry or in writing books, but in the simple, hidden act of faithfulness to God, moment by moment, day by day. His letters to his wife, Charity, reveal a man whose spirit remained unbroken. He rarely spoke of his own suffering. Instead, he wrote of his unwavering joy in the Lord. In one of his last known letters, he wrote, "In my sickness, I still remain joyful at heart." His focus was not on his circumstances but on the eternal reality of his faith. He was living out the very message he had preached for so many years. He was a true watchman, keeping his post even in the darkest night. Watchman Nee's original 15-year sentence came and went, but he was not released. The authorities offered him freedom on one condition, that he renounce his faith. He refused. His commitment to Christ was non-negotiable, and so he remained in prison. On May 30th, 1972, Watchman Nee died in his labor camp prison. He was 68 years old. His family was not even informed of his death until later. His grandniece was allowed to come and collect his few belongings. She was handed a small box containing his ashes and found a piece of paper under his pillow. It was a note he had written with a shaking hand, his last will and testament to the world. It read, "Christ is the Son of God who died for the redemption of sinners and was resurrected after 3 days. This is the greatest truth in the universe. I die because of my belief in Christ." Watchman Nee. There was no funeral, no public memorial. From the world's perspective, his life ended in failure, brilliant leader silenced, his movement suppressed, his body broken in a forgotten prison. But that is not the end of the story. The seeds that Watchman Nee had planted could not be destroyed. The local churches he started went underground, but they continued to grow. His writings were smuggled out of China and circulated secretly among believers, providing spiritual nourishment in a time of famine. His example of unyielding faith in the face of persecution became a powerful source of encouragement for the Chinese church, which experienced explosive growth in the decades following his death. Today, the legacy of Watchman Nee is global. His books are read by millions of Christians from all backgrounds and denominations. The local church movement he began has spread to every continent. His life story continues to challenge believers everywhere to examine the depth of their own convictions. What do you believe? And what are you willing to endure for it? Watchman Nee's life forces us to redefine success. It wasn't about the size of his ministry or the number of books he sold. His ultimate success was found in his faithfulness. He finished his race. He kept the faith. From a prison cell, with no voice, no pulpit, and no freedom, he gave his most powerful sermon. It was a sermon lived out in suffering, sealed with his final breath, a testament to a purpose that could not be imprisoned and a faith that outlasts even death itself. His life is a ringing bell for us today, a watchman's call to live for something eternal. Thank you for joining me on this journey into the incredible life of Watchman Nee. If his story has inspired you, please hit that like button and subscribe for more content that explores faith and history. Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear what part of his story resonated with you the most. Until next time, stay curious and keep seeking the truth.